Some of my credible sources indicate that the arrest of His Excellency President Raila Odinga is imminent. Naturally, this is much more believable now, with the shutting down of TV stations. Because before the shutting down of TV stations, who would have believed that the TV stations would have been actually shut down by the Jubilee government? In this day and age, under the 2010 Constitution, who would have believed? But now, with the clampdown of the media, with the arrest of opposition figures daily, prominent opposition people daily, it is safe to say that there's nothing you can put past Jubilee. There's nothing that Jubilee cannot do. It does not matter how unconstitutional it is. That should be very clear now. Now, in my latest highly sensitive news roundup for Club 1999 members, I indicate the reasoning behind this arrest of Raila Odinga, and the whole approach and the objective that Jubilee has, and why, in their view, it's not a big deal. Okay. Now, to become a member of Club 1999 is very easy. Just use the email address you see on your screens right now. Now, a section of the media, actually to be precise, the Daily Nation, or the Sunday Nation rather, has reported today that there's a plan underway to withdraw the passports of prominent NASA leaders. Now, naturally, this is very alarming news, because when you take it together with the other things that are happening and unfolding at a very rapid rate, it is indeed cause for concern. Let me just remind you about the relevant chain of events. NASA legislators have had their security withdrawn. Shortly after that, their gun licenses are being withdrawn one after the other. Whatever firearms they have, the licenses are being revoked one by one. NASA leaders are being arrested. There's one arrest at least almost daily. And then you add to that the withdrawal of passports so that they cannot travel. It would seem that somebody really wants to corner NASA leaders, and then do what to them? Anyway, let's break it down. Let's try and see some reasoning behind the withdrawal of passports. Now, naturally, the Jubilee government would not want any prominent NASA leaders escaping the country in order to continue the fight from outside the country, from beyond the reach of the Jubilee government. Actually, technically, that statement is not entirely true. The statement about being beyond the reach of the Jubilee government, because we have seen cases in the past, not only in Kenya, even in other countries, where governments have been able to reach their opponents very brutally when they're outside the country. But that is that's a story for another day. Anyway, that seems to be the idea. A total clampdown, a total neutralization of the opposition. Now, I don't know if anybody realizes that when you completely dismantle and intimidate the opposition and you have no opposition left, what does that mean for the country? The country becomes a one-party dictatorship. It's as simple as that. Of course, we'd have a lot of people in Jubilee pretending, and we have seen this in the past. You pick up a guy like Ekuru Aukot, who does not even have, Third Way Alliance, that does not even have a single legislator in parliament, and then you start touting them as the official opposition. Actually, I should not be laughing, but that is a scenario we can expect. That is, there's a lot of predictability in the way Jubilee does their things. Anyway, back to the Raila Odinga arrest. Now, there have also been rumors, for a long time, that what actually the Jubilee government intends to do is to shut down social media, shut down the internet, and then arrest Raila. And apart from the internet, shut down the entire cell phone communication. Now, if you don't have the internet, and you don't have your cell phone, there's no way you're going to get news that Raila Odinga has been arrested. Now, shutting down social media, I can believe, Shutting down the internet, that one I can believe. Because already TV stations have been shut down, In my view, it's not a big deal to shut down the internet. And going by the way Jubilee have been behaving, shutting down cell phones is also not an issue. However, there's just one small detail that makes this plan crazy, the craziest of the craziest plans Jubilee may ever have tried to do, if it's true that that's what they want to do. Shutting down the internet, let alone even before you get to cell phones, would disrupt our financials in the country. Now, for those of us who are spiritual, I find this particular aspect absolutely fascinating. Because as I mentioned to somebody who wrote an email to me, when you really think about it, the whole issue here is M-Pesa. Okay, because if you shut down the internet, it's definitely going to affect M-Pesa. Now, M-Pesa is a Kenyan economy. Now, I appreciate the fact that we're not all spiritual, but just bear me out, to get this point quickly across. In my email, I told this Kumekucha fan that who knows, maybe the Almighty God allowed M-Pesa to prosper in such a spectacular way in preparation for a time like this. Just think about it. So what the government would have to do in shutting down the internet, and in disabling mobile phone communication is to say that they've grounded M-Pesa, which would mean that they would have grounded normal financial operations and activities in Kenya. At least a huge part of it. Okay. Now let's assume they choose to do it on a weekend, a day when it'll have minimal effect. Say on a Sunday, or even a Saturday, or even right through the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Services would still have to resume at some point. Okay. And by the way, when you shut down cell phones, you're also shutting down communication amongst our security guys. Because the truth is, although they have their own communication network, their own communication systems, cell phones still play a significant role. Okay. Anyway, you disable mobile phones in Kenya, for a weekend, maybe 2 days, or even 3 days, or even 4 days. At some point, you'll have to restore services. Now, obviously, when you do that, Kenyans will already be very suspicious. That what happened when there was no cell phone communication. Let alone that, this is something a large part of the Kenyan population is expecting, and therefore immediately the cell phones are not working, there will be panic right across the country. They'll assume something is afoot. And those are my reasons for believing that although this is likely, although this is possible, actually some mad person somewhere could actually decide to go ahead with this, it is highly unlikely for the reasons I have given. Okay. Now, maybe the immediate question is, what would happen if Raila Odinga is arrested? My answer is very simple, and it is in one sentence. Okay, actually a few words. I don't want to think about it. And indeed, most analysts who understand Kenya will have the same response. And so let us ask another question. What if Raila Odinga is not arrested? Okay, that also has its consequences. And these are the consequences. The government has already started going full speed along that path of prosecuting everybody who had anything to do with the swearing in of His Excellency President Raila Odinga. Meaning that in the end, inevitably, they have to get to Raila Odinga, because he was the person being sworn in. If there was a crime committed, is the person who instigated the whole chain of criminal activity, if we can put it like that. And to be fair, and to serve justice in this context, if you have arrested a few people for participating in an activity that was illegal, you will also have to take some action against the hundreds of thousands of other people who participated in this illegal activity. These are the facts that make me say that whoever is implementing this plan within Jubilee is mixed up. To be brutally honest, and with due respect to whoever that person is, they do not seem to know what they're doing. There are at least a few other ways in which the opposition would have been dealt with. If Jubilee is so determined not to have a conversation about the country called Kenya, there are other ways of which they would have handled this. There are other ways they'd have clamped down on the opposition without going along this path. To give you a hint, because I don't want to give Jubilee my ideas, Jubilee has a majority in both houses and they can pass laws. But alas, the Jubilee government has chosen brute force, so brute force it is. From where I sit, it's just mind-boggling, that somebody can ignore the hundreds of thousands of people who turned up for the swearing in of Raila Odinga, totally ignore that, okay, and go on a path of prosecution for those who attended the activity. What you're actually saying is that those many huge numbers of Kenyans are irrelevant. Or as Bwana Okuro Ekot put it, the whole thing was just nonsense. Those people were nonsense. And then you also choose to ignore the celebrations that were being carried out countrywide to celebrate His Excellency President Raila Odinga taking his oath of office. You ignore all that. Of course, there are those celebrations we saw in the mainstream media, those ones that were made public, but I can assure you there are many other celebrations right across the country which were not covered, some which were done more privately. The majority of Kenyan voters who were defrauded during this election cycle, were at least feeling some relief. They were feeling happy. They were feeling at least at the end of the day, they have gotten a foot through the door. But no, according to Jubilee, all that is irrelevant. All that is rubbish. All that is nonsense. And so, folks, the outcome of this is extremely predictable. Very predictable. God help Kenya. Until next time, this is Kshs Kumekucha.